Hi, folks. First, I want to thank all of you who've been donating because today I got to go into the dentist again. I don't know if you guys have been watching for the last few months, but I had a thing a few months ago and now I got to go back in and get it redone. And the price the dentist quoted me yesterday at the consultation was pretty shocking, but because you guys keep donating, I was like, well, I got that much in the bank, so let's do this thing. So thank you very much. I'll give a where you can donate at the end. For that reason, because I was up all night with a toothache, I haven't really prepared much. But what I want to do is, and I think this is fair, I'm going to read you. It's going to be like story time. And what I'm going to read to you from is The Light That Shines Through Infinity, Zen and the Energy of Life by Dainin Katagiri. This is one of three books that was put out posthumously after Katagiri Roshi died. I believe Returning to Silence is the only one that was put out during his lifetime, so it's the only one he actually got to read. But I was first introduced to Zen by Tim McCarthy, whose book that he assigned in the class I took from him was Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind by Shunryu Suzuki. Brain is all scrambled, and that's still one of the far and away one of the greatest books about Zen ever written. But everything that I've read from Katagiri Roshi has been equal to or better than the stuff in Suzuki Roshi's book. So this is some really good stuff. And I'm just going to read it to you, and if I haven't taken up all the time I want to take up, maybe I'll comment on it. But I just want to read it, and, here we go, story time with Brad. I hope you enjoy it. The title for this section is Liberation and Creation. I think they just gave these titles later. I'm sure he didn't title this talks. These are transcripts of talks, basically. When you and all sentient beings are reflected together in the spiritual mirror, all are transparent and liberated by that transparence. And there's a whole thing about the spiritual mirror, the great mirror, the clear mirror, and I wrote about it in my book. It's either in Don't Be a Jerk or It Came from Beyond Zen. There's a whole thing about that. That's what he's been referring to before this, but I think what he says after this will kind of catch you up on what's important. Then, immediately in the next moment, your individual face comes up again, very clearly. This is called creation. You are constantly recreating your life anew. Dogen Zenji tells this story. Gensha came forward saying, "What will become of them when the clear mirror appears suddenly?" He's talking about the clear mirror and the... what's the other mirror? Anyway, it doesn't matter. There's this idea of these two mirrors. It's a way of talking about meeting the world as yourself, and that's why we call them the mirror, the two mirrors meeting together. Seppo said, "Both of them will appear." "I don't agree," said Gensha. "What then?" That's Seppo, and Gensha says, "Ask me again, please. What will become of them when the clear mirror appears suddenly?" And Gensha says, I think this is Gensha, "It will disintegrate." Actually, he says, broken into a million pieces, shattered into a million pieces. Seppo and Gensha are discussing what happens when a clear mirror sees another clear mirror. When you see the clear mirror, you are also the clear mirror. So Gensha is asking his student about this. Seppo says they are both clear mirrors, which means they both disappear. But Gensha is not satisfied with this answer. So Seppo asks his teacher, "How about you? What do you say?" Gensha says both mirrors disintegrate. They are shattered, broken into pieces, hundreds, myriads of tiny broken shards. Dogen comments on this story, and finally he says, "What is the shape of the broken pieces? It is eternally deep water and the moon in the sky." Through our experience, our study, and our practice, we try to see the mirror where all life is reflected. We try to understand what truth is. So you practice, and then, when you look in this mirror, what happens? All of a sudden, the mirror shatters. It breaks into pieces, and there is no reflection. The reflection of you, me, trees, birds, American culture, and all sentient beings disintegrates, and there is nothing there. There is just the vast openness of the sky. The vast openness of the sky is called Akasha in Sanskrit. It is very difficult to translate Akasha. Sometimes we say sky or space, but it means something more than ordinary space. Before there is a clear mirror, before there are any reflections in the mirror, there is just a vast, transparent openness where all sentient beings coexist in peace, in harmony. When the mirror shatters, the form of your life breaks into pieces. Your consciousness cannot make any discrimination, so nothing at all is separate from you. If you see a tree, you have no concept of tree, because nothing separates you from the tree. Then, in the next moment, according to the function of causes and conditions, energy shoots up from the ground and reforms the frame of a tree. There is a tree, but it is not the tree you usually see. The new tree is like a snake after shedding its skin. It has a new form, and that form is shining. That shining tree is a clear mirror for you because it is you. You see your own life in the tree's life. You can see your own life there because a tree is not something created separately from a human being. So your life is also like a new snake. A new human being appears in the form of your 5 skandhas. Those are the 5 form, feeling, perceptions, impulses, consciousness, which make up a human being. And your life is shining like the moon. You are reflecting pure energy, the essential nature of life. At that time, you really appreciate your life. If you see a tree, you really appreciate it because the tree is you and you are the tree. So very naturally, there is communication. You and the tree can talk together. When you talk with a tree that is changing color in autumn, maybe you write a poem. That poem is something more than its words. A kind of sentimental, huge, deep, and completely inconceivable world is there. Your poem is a clear mirror reflecting the essential nature of human life. So according to Dogen's story, what happens when your clear mirror meets a clear mirror? Both mirrors shatter into pieces, and there is just a vast, great openness. That is liberation. You are free. Then, next, what should you do? We must not forget recreation. So come back and pay careful attention to every single aspect of your daily life. Getting up in the morning, washing your face, having breakfast, and walking on the street. That is called creating your life. This is very important. Otherwise, you cannot take care of your life freely, and you cannot build up a peaceful world. It's hard to understand what the point of Zen teaching is exactly. Maybe you think it is to find a solution to a koan, a Zen puzzle. I don't think this is the real purpose. Maybe you think that the main purpose of Zen is to attain enlightenment. I don't think this is Zen. It is a part of Zen, but not the whole. Zen Buddhism emphasizes the best way to live in terms of Dogen's 3rd point. From moment to moment, the 5 skandhas of your body and mind are liberated and then reformed to create a new life. This process is the maturing of life. It's working in the life of all sentient beings. If you want to mature your life, you have to consider all 3 points: coexistence, transparency, and creation. Otherwise, your life is up in the air, and you can become crazy by spiritual life. For example, if you see your life reflected in the ancient mirror and experience how wonderful life is, you feel excited, fantastic. But maybe you start to think that all things are the same, right or wrong, good or bad, all are Buddha. This is confusion. If you are lucky, you become a mysterious person, putting on a performance to gain people's respect. If you are unlucky, you are in jail or in a mental hospital. So finally, you have to reach the 3rd point and come back to recreation. You are already in the ancient mirror, so try to find a way to calm down and reflect your life. Again and again, stand up in the coexistent place. See the clear mirror, experience it breaking into pieces, and come back to everyday life. Create a new human life with wisdom based on what you have seen. Then your life is really rooted on earth. You can live in peace, and through your everyday life, you show a peaceful way of life to others. And that's where that section of the book ends. I think I'll leave it there, and I highly recommend that book. I'm not getting any kickbacks from the Katagiri estate if you buy it, but I think it's well worth reading if you want to read a good book about Zen. Light shines through infinity. All of Katagiri's books are great. And that part about recreating your life is really interesting because there's a kind of a tendency of people in certain spiritual streams to want to get the very spiritual life, the very spiritual outlook that is beyond this reality. And you find this tendency in the Advaita tradition, which I've been studying myself a lot. Not so much in Ramana Maharshi or in Nisargadatta Maharaj or Ramesh Balsekar, the people who I've been reading to you from, but there's other streams of it which get into that. The reason I like those three that I just mentioned is because they seem to want to pull it back the way the Zenis do. And that's really a strong part of the Zen tradition, is that you have this spiritual experience. You have this understanding, this deep understanding of something that is beyond this life, that is not like this life that we're leading right now. But then you also come back here. That's the Bodhisattva ideal. The Bodhisattva ideal is that you are holding both. You are having the grand spiritual experience. You are making the effort in that direction to have that thing, which is something uncommon for people. But then, as in the famous ox herding pictures, you come back. You come back right here. The old saying that before I started practice, mountains and rivers were mountains and rivers. Then in the middle of my practice, mountains and rivers were no longer mountains and rivers. But now that I've come back to the end of my practice, mountains and rivers are mountains and rivers again. That's the Zen way, and it includes both. It's not just staying right with everything as it normally is, because there is this journey, into something else, something deeper, something, spiritual and powerful and universal. But then there's the coming back, and the coming back is also extremely important in the Zen system of things. And this is why I think Zen is the best. If I didn't think Zen is the best, I wouldn't be practicing it. So I'm not trying to say that in distinction, or as a put down of other paths and things. But I think that the way of Zen is the one that brings you back here, and back here is also important as much as, the beyond. There's my message for the day. Thank you for your donations. If you want to send more donations to help me get more work on more teeth, you can send them by going to this URL and finding the links to my Patreon and PayPal, which are also linked if you're on YouTube already. There are links right below this screen, and you can go directly there. All those donations help a lot. That's how I fix my teeth and buy food for Ziggy and everything else. So thank you very much. If you're having financial trouble, though, don't worry about me, because like I said, because of your kind donations, when I got this dental bill, I was like, okay, I can afford that. So thank you very much for allowing me to afford to go to the dentist this holiday season. See you later. Have a good time all the time. Bye.